All right, 7.7, solve problems involving division. So we have more story problems this time and thinking about what they really mean. So I want you to really think about the story and try and visualize what's happening. So hopefully by the end you'll be able to say, I can solve word problems involving division. I can interpret the remainder when solving word problems. I'll explain more what that means, interpreting the remainder, because that's an important part today. So Javier and his family have $1,059 to pay for their vacation hotel. Will they be able to stay at the hotel for 12 nights? Okay, relevant problem. You have a certain budget for a vacation. How many nights can you afford to stay there? Given it's $95 per night. Which could be, you might think, oh, is that a lot? Not a lot? Kind of depends on where you are. All right, so what equation can you write? Well, a couple of options. You could think about, I have this total, I'm splitting it up into 12 nights. I could also think about, well, what's 12 times 95? Will that be more or less than 1,059, right? We can sort of think of the two ways of doing it. In any case, we're going to do it in this case, we're actually going to divide by 95, even a third way. Because what I was thinking was 1,059 divided by 12 nights. You could figure out how much do they have for each night. Will it be enough for 95? You could divide it by 95 to see how many nights could they stay. Okay, so again, just depends on how you think about the story. Different options, as long as you understand the problem you're doing. So we're going to divide by 95 to see how many nights they can stay. Can they stay the 12 nights that they want? So how can you solve it? Well, I'll show you partial quotients. As always, if you want to use the traditional algorithm, that is fine. So let's think about solving this problem. You know me, I like to start with 10 groups if I can. 10 times 95 is 950, which is less than 1,059, so that works. 950, subtract 1. So 109 is what I have left. I can still fit one more group of 95. And then I get 14. So we know we add those, so our answer is 11. That's our remainder 14. So if we think about, well, can he stay 12 nights? Nope, he can stay 11 nights, and then he has $14 left over. Not enough for another night at the hotel. So that's what I mean by interpreting the remainder. You're thinking about what each piece of the answer means. What does the 11 mean? What does the 14 mean? Not just like 11 remainder 14, that's my answer. Because that's not always the answer. Sometimes we pick and choose which part sort of is the answer. I'll just show you the steps again in case you missed that. Because sometimes it's helpful to see it, not just hear what I'm saying. So we know there's 109 left. We fit another group. We have 14, which I did. Okay, so the quotient is 11 with a remainder of 14. So again, we're interpreting the quotient. We're figuring out what it means. Yep. So he can stay at the night for 11 nights. He would have $14 left over. So on your notes, go ahead and write. We can divide and interpret the remainder. When you get an answer to a division problem, you need to interpret it. Okay, so interpret it. Meaning, or you could write figure it out. Figure out what it means. Because sometimes the answer is the quotient. That's the next blank. Sometimes the answer is the quotient. Sometimes it might say, how many nights can he stay? We would say 11 nights. And we would sort of ignore the remainder because that's not what they were asking. Oopsies. Sometimes the answer is the remainder. That's the next blank. It might say, if it costs this much, how much will he have left over? And then we would say $14. And we would ignore the 11 nights because that's not what they asked. We would just give the remainder as our answer. And then sometimes we round the quotient up to find the answer, or what I'd like you to write on your notes, sometimes the answer is the quotient plus 1. You might say, why in the world would we do the quotient plus 1? Well, say I was taking some books and splitting them up into boxes. Say I had 21 books and I was putting them into groups of 5, so I could fit 5 books in a box. How many boxes will I need for all of them? Well, 5, 10, 15, 20. So I need 4 boxes that'll be all full of books. But then I have that extra book, because remember I had 21? I would need another box. It just wouldn't be a full box. So I would actually need 5 boxes, even though I'd have some space in the last one. That's what we mean with plus 1. You'd get 4 remainder 1 as your answer, and then we would need to add 1 and get 5. Again, I'll show you an example. That should help you know what I'm talking about. So, there are 1,658 people attending a play. Each row at the theater has 75 seats. So, can you picture in your mind? Could be, it says a play, but imagine like a big movie theater if you've never been to a play. Long rows that each have 75 seats. All these people going to this play. How many rows will they need to seat everyone? Okay? And then will all the rows have the same number of seats? Or like, will they all be full? Is another way that sometimes they say it. So, we'll do this one together. So, say I have 1,658 divided by 75. Sorry, I was just looking at my crooked little house. Anywho, so I could do 10 groups because 750 is less than my dividend. 60 minus 7 is 9. Okay, I could do another 10 groups. 8, 10, and 5. So now I have 158. So I'm actually going to go over here because I'm running out of space. Can't do another 10 groups. So let's just do one group. 75. In the time it would take me to guess and check and get as close to 158, I think I can just subtract another group because I knew it wasn't too much bigger than 75. 8. All right. So we can see we have 22 remainder 8 as the quotient and the remainder. So let's think back to the question they asked us. Let's look back at it. How many rows will they need to seat everybody? Well, they'll need 22 rows, and then they'll have 8 people left over, right? Because I was taking this many people and splitting them into groups. So those 8 people need somewhere to sit, so I'll need another row. So then I would say, oh, they actually need 23 rows, because 22 of the rows will be all full of 75 people, but there's still people left over that need another row. So 23 is actually the answer. That's what I mean by sometimes you need to add 1, thinking about, okay, what does it actually mean? The next lesson I'm going to do a little more practice if you're still feeling like you need more explanation. Obviously, you can ask for help. You'll have your practice, all that. But just know it can be a little confusing to figure out how to interpret the remainder. All right. Jaya is a restaurant critic. She is given a budget of $850 and can spend $45 at each restaurant. How many restaurants can she visit and review? So we're taking this big budget. We're splitting it into groups of 45. So I'm going to want to divide 850 divided by 45. So let's see what we'll get. 850 divided by 45. All right. Let's go ahead and do 10 groups. That's 450. Oh, only have 400. So let's try 5 groups. Oops. I'm going to switch to this pen so I can go out of the little box. 45 times 5, 225. If we add them, we get 225. So then we have 5 groups was 225. We'll subtract. I'll box that up and get 39. 10 minus 5 is 5. 39 minus 2 is 7, and 1. So I can't do another 5 groups, right? So let's try 3 groups. See if that works. It's 120, 15. So I get 135. So I could do another 3 groups. 135. I'm running out of space. Thankfully, you'll have bigger room, either on your paper or whiteboard. So 40. So I can't fit another group, right? So here's what I'll get. 18 remainder 40. It's okay that I have a big remainder because it's still less than my divisor out here, which is fine. I can't fit another group of 45. So if we think, how many restaurants can she visit and review? Well, she can go to 18 restaurants. She'll have $40 left over because I was dividing the $850 up, but that's not enough for another restaurant. So it's just 18 restaurants. Okay, so that's when we just ignore the remainder and just the answer is the quotient. Let's do another one. All right. So a farmer packs 1,124 pears to take to the farmer's market. Each tray holds 16 pears. How many trays will she take to the farmer's market? Go ahead and give it a try. All right, hope you got it. So first I need to divide, right? Taking these pears, I'm splitting them up into groups of 18. Okay, I'm going to just learn from my mistake last time and go to a space where I have a little more room. So 1,125 divided by 16. Ooh, okay. I'm a little worried because if I do 160, I think I'm still going to have a lot left. So let's go ahead and start with 5. And mostly I start with 5 because it's a number that's easier to multiply, that I know a lot of you know in your head. Oops, sorry, I mean 50. If I had done 5, I would have gotten 53 or 80. And not 80, and that would not have been very big. So that's how I knew I wanted to do 50 groups, which was 800, which makes a little more sense. Gets me much closer. 325. All right, now let's do 10 groups, because that's 160. 6 and 1. Okay, I can do another 10 groups. 160. So, I get 70, remainder 5. And then, hold on, sorry, I just think oh, it's 124. So I was like, why do I have a different number that I wrote down? So that should be a 4, 4, 4. So just the remainder is 4. Doesn't really change the process that much. So, how many trays will this farmer need? Well, they need 70 trays. They'll have 4 pears left over, right? Because that was the problem, is they're splitting these pears up into groups. So if they need enough trays for all the pears, they'll need an extra tray. So that's why they'll need 71 trays. Just that last tray will only have 4 instead of being full. All right? Make sure you ask if you still have questions. Good luck.